So, Jan, as you read One Yes at a Time, what was your response to reading Susan's story?
Well, so I would, ours obviously closed adoption, different story, but I would say there's so many parallels then from the point that, we say we reunited because, we were connected for a while, at the very beginning, and then 28 years passed. And so I would say that our reunion paralleled the open adoption stories that Susan was telling, that how the families just blended and welcomed everyone. It was like, we're just going to expand this family, and the love just got bigger. And so I would say we do talk about it like a fairy tale, like everything turned out in the most positive way it could have.
Yeah, it is. Well, and also, it's not any different than all the families that are formed through step families.
Right. It's
like, how do you do it? It's like, look at your family. You've got, you're both parents have been remarried. Everybody has children. It's a lot to navigate, but people are doing it all over. Very few families are this happy foursome or sixsome. That's it.
Now, I do have a question. Jan and I had talked years ago about, and I specifically saved some questions for Jan to ask here. You and I had talked previously about open adoption because obviously I think closed was the only option, at least the only one presented to you.
It felt like the only option, and it may just be because I couldn't imagine at 16 being involved in your whole life. I mean, I didn't think I was mature enough. I didn't know if I could handle it emotionally, really. The advice I got from the counselor that I saw before you were born was compartmentalize this. Put this behind you was the answer. Don't hold the baby. You don't want to bond with the baby. It'd be so much harder to give her up, and just put this behind you and go on with your life. And that felt safe to me. I didn't know. I didn't want you to be confused. I didn't know how. It felt like it would be way too emotional for me to see you at my age, 17, 18, as you were growing up. And I just couldn't imagine it. So I don't know. I think, Susan, you mentioned that open adoptions kind of started in the 70s. It wasn't something I really considered.
Yeah.
Or wasn't even aware of.
Yeah. I think it was available, but I don't know if people were talking about it. And we didn't do it we did it just because we happened to meet our birth family, the birth mother. And then it became open adoption because then it's like, you want to stay in touch,
So I just was curious as Jan, if this changed how you felt. But I even, when Muffin and I were talking about it, I said, I think I'll say inherently compartmentalize things. It's just easier to put it in a box and put it away and not think about it, whether that's a family trait or whether that's a learned trait or whatever. I don't know. But I said, I think Jan put it in the box and then put it on the shelf, not to be dealt with. And then once you can open the box and it feels safe, then it was okay. So I think that's something we already do. So I just was curious as to if you had once described it as you felt like it would be an open wound to have to watch.
A very difficult situation. And we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it.
Yeah, I was surprised when we started to do this podcast, Susan, it became more of a conversation. Not that, obviously I had been around. Is it
21?
It was Thursday. Thursday was our 21-year anniversary. And so it's been a while. Obviously I've been around, but I didn't realize how not spoken about I was. So much so that her sister Jeannie thought I was a boy until I came.
Wow. Yeah.
And I thought how hard that must have been for Jan to have this and not be able to discuss it, even after the fact. So, my compassion went to Jan on that one. That yeah, it's not to be discussed. But I do feel like, and Jan, you would have a similar perspective, maybe. I felt like there was a lot of healing that took place after I came along. Like her dad, Grandpa Ed, I felt like was always a very soft, soft and welcoming and loving grandpa. Many
Yeah.
family members will say that I had a different grandpa than they had.
Interesting.
So I'm curious, because you said, doing the podcast, reading Susan's book opened up, even though you had open relationship and conversations, that this helped facilitate conversations. So I'm going to ask Muffin next too. So when you read One Yes at a Time and read Susan's book, you know your mom's story, you know all this. So what was reading the book like for you?
It's hard to put myself in a perspective because I'm not a mom, I'm not an adoptee. So it's like, it's almost like reading it outside. The way we talked about it is like put myself in the perspective of I'm in between the ages of the birth parents, the birth mothers. So like what would I do in that situation? And um I've been dating my boyfriend for 4 years. So it's like when we started dating, it's a very different conversation than it is now. So at 15, I would have put the baby up for adoption, and I think it would have had to be closed because same with them. I don't think I could look at that. And like watched this child that I put into the world grow up and not be able to be the parent that, not that I was meant to be, but like that naturally I would be, versus now I don't know where I stand. And I probably wouldn't do adoption because now there's just so many resources and everything else available for me. Putting myself in that perspective is just weird to see. And like they said, puts a lot of compassion for the birth mothers because I'm not adopting. And so I don't know how difficult that would be for the adoptive family, but it's just a very different perspective because it's kind of an outside perspective, but also like seeing how everything else is unraveled. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.